A beautiful day. Welcome to the program. It's Thursday, the 13th day of February 2025, and it's just one day shy of Valentine's Day for those that celebrate Valentine anyway. I'm not up for all of that. Welcome to the program. I'm Moses Humphrey. Over the next 2 hours, we'll be looking at the papers, newspaper headlines, and then we'll also talk some trend, and we will be focusing on a few events happening around the country. One of those is Ipob accuses Anambra security outfit of extrajudicial killings, demands apology compensation from Governor Soludo. Let's touch on this as we get into the program.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Welcome to today's episode of VOP this morning. Also on our radar today, we'll be talking about how APC National Chairman Umaru Ganduje tells northern politicians to drop a presidential ambition come 2027. He also went for that to bag the President Bola Tinubu's economic policies, saying that in no distant time it will begin to yield wonderful fruits. And this is coming after the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, have come up to threaten that if the policies of this present administration is not being looked into, then what happened in 2015 will repeat itself again. Interesting. Let's see how this turns out.
All right, then. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Now, those are the major topics of discussion for today. We also have other interesting trending stories. But before we get into all of that, kindly visit our website, www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also, click on the subscription button and subscribe to our YouTube channel on Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Now, let's get into it. Nigeria's national power grid has collapsed for the second time in 2025, plunging Lagos and other cities into darkness. Now, the outage occurred at 11:34 a.m. on February 12, that's yesterday, with Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company confirming the failure. Now, this marks the 14th grid collapse in 14 months, causing widespread frustration. Power generation reportedly dropped from 111.01 megawatts to 3,902. Sorry, I'll take that again. 390.20 megawatt. The Transmission Company of Nigeria attributed past failures to generator and line trippings. Now, the latest collapse follows a similar incident on January 11, 2025, and ongoing challenges with grid stability. Oh well, like it's out there already. There's grid collapse, and this is the second time this year, and the 14th time in 14 months. What does that tell you? What it tells you practically is statistically that every month we have had a grid collapse in the past 14 months. Oh well, I don't know what else to say because Nigerians are aware. The minister has said, look, generator failure, vandalism, and all of that. Do we need to hear all of that? No, we don't need to hear all of that. What we need to hear is, look, this problem has been solved once and for all. Because it impacts negatively on economy, standard of living, health sector, education sector, and everything. This is not a story we should start telling this year again. We have had enough of these stories last year. And going forward, this is just February. I'm not sure this is the kind of story Nigerians want to hear.
Well, it's definitely not.
All right, Mo, sorry about that. You had that, I think, 10 days into the new year, you had there was a collapse. It happened on the 11th of January. And you want to ask, is this how we're going to begin the year 2025?
Exactly my
Just
question.
10 days into the new year. And this
Exactly my question. That's not the kind of stories we want to hear this year.
We've started hearing it already, Chikuma. When we were talking about how many times the national grid have collapsed, it's 14 months. 14 times in 14 months. So it's more like each month we'll have a national grid collapse. But I think they've restored it. If I'm
Yes,
because I know today
yes.
I woke up to my AC working. I was like, oh, thanks be to God. It's and this is as I pay a very high price when it gets to the bands that are being divided into. I think our own fell into the band A group. No one told me anything about pushing me to.
I feel your pain.
To the band A group, but all the same, I'm happy that finally the national grid have been rectified. The collapse, it have been resuscitated. So now Nigerians will be happy that there's light again.
Oh yes, it's funny how we tag these things. I kind of like this administration, Chikuba. I like this administration.
I love
Yes.
Nigeria. I love my country.
Well, I love the country and I love the administration. You know, it's an administration of very intelligent people.
Okay.
So they said there wasn't. This is the first major collapse or major disturbance.
Okay.
Not a collapse.
Not a collapse.
It's a
Okay, the other one
was line tripping.
Okay.
The other one was line tripping. It tripped off. So some parts of the country went without electricity for a few hours.
So
Yesterday
sorry, Moses,
was-
when it tripped off, was there light in your house?
No.
Okay.
There was no light.
So
But it
we
was
know what it is.
Line tripping. Other time was minor disturbances. So this one happened approximately a year after the first one happened. Is major disturbance. You know, I like the terms.
Just
being
like
used.
a few subsidy removal and
Shortfall.
And shortfall.
And shortfall. So I think you're playing with intelligence of Nigerians. Like you rightly said, Chukuma, this is not what Nigerians should be hearing at this time. The president is out there in France. He met up with Google CEO, and he assured him that Nigeria is ready to start out AI. Well, are we really ready if we cannot sustain power? Just imagine some technicians in the lab developing something, some AI idea. They're developing it, and then all of a sudden, the light goes out for hours. Now, this happened at about 11, some minutes to noon, and then lasted till about later in the evening. Man hours lost, and then people will have to run generator. And this is why telecom operators are increasing tariffs, because they're saying, look, we bear the cost of running our business. We bear the cost of powering our facilities. And so we cannot continue to bear this cost. The consumer has to take some part of it. So yes. So you won't blame them if they increase the tariff. So if the governments of the day want businesses to thrive, want telecoms to cut down its cost, then electricity, it's a given. Should be provided.
It's a given. It's quite a given. In the history of mankind, I'm not sure that there is any invention that has revolutionized the world more than electricity. Not even one. Because everything you practically do in life runs around electricity. So
Exactly.
any country that is serious about moving forward, any country that is serious about with industrialization, health, technology, there's nothing you can do without electricity. So sometimes we sit back and say, look, are we really serious as a people if we can't fix ordinary? Nobody is asking you to build a turbine. Nobody is asking you to buy the ones built by someone. The only problem is with installation.
Fix it and maintain it.
So
That's
what
all-
is that?
that's all we're
Is that
saying.
difficult to do?
That's
Is that
all
a
we're
difficult
saying.
thing to do?
Hospitals are working without power, and you're saying, well, let's move on to another issue, Jerry.
But when you ask, is it a difficult thing to do? You also remember the Mabila project.
Oh, well. Questions being asked. Oh, well. Dr. Lawan Ado, a medical doctor in Katsina State, has been arrested for treating wounded bandits, including the notorious Usman Modi Modi, who has a 15 million naira bounty on his head. Ado admitted in a recorded confession that he was paid, now laughable amount I must say, he was paid for treating several injured bandits in Safana, LGA, and nearby areas. He detailed receiving payments ranging from 8,000 naira. He got 18,000 naira for treating the guy that had 50 million bounty on his head. He got 18,000 naira for treating gunshot wounds and all of that. I think one of them was a wound to the head or something. And then he treated others, got 8,000, 11,000 here, And what another interesting thing to take away from this story is this bandit leader sustained injuries when they came into contact with local vigilantes. Not the soldiers, not the military, but vigilantes. All right, so this buttresses the fact that if the people are empowered and authorized to safeguard their own community, banditry will be greatly reduced because the people can confront them. Anyway, well, Nigerian Senate has questioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over the 3,907 missing firearms from the police armory, and expressing dissatisfaction with the police's with his explanation The Senate's Public Accounts Committee, SPAC, raised concerns based on a 2019 audit report from the Auditor General, which revealed that as of December 2018, 178,459 firearms were unaccounted for, including 88,078 AK-47 rifles. While discrepancies in police records further fueled suspicion, the police struggling to account for the missing weapons, requested a closed session, with which the Senate rejected, instead demanding a thorough investigation and a follow-up report. So all of this playing out, questions being asked. We've had the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, come out to say that some policemen are selling weapons to insurgents. We've also seen cases where weapons purchased in trucks taken to some theater of war, the area raided, the trucks driven off. Basically, to me, it feels like we bought these weapons for these guys, but let's just bring it here and have them come, to pick it up. And then they drive off, and we hear that gunshots here and there, and they overpowered us, and they took away a truckload of guns. It's laughable. It's laughable when you think about all these things. It just feels like Nigeria is not ready. Nigeria is not ready to combat insecurity. Meanwhile, we're hearing that some other in the Chad, they are being dealt with greatly in areas around Lake Chad and the rest. But right here, I don't think we are ready yet.
You think we're treating them with kid gloves?
Oh yes, we are. Oh. Most definitely.
When I saw
now,
this report,
sorry, please. Let me add. I don't think it was necessary for this information to come out that the police treating these guys was arrested. Sorry, I beg pardon. The doctor treating them was arrested. That's not the information we should have gotten at this time. What we should have been hearing is, now, we arrested this person who treats these people, and based on intelligence that he gave to us, we have arrested this, and that individual. That way we know that you guys are working. But now you've arrested a person that treats them, and you've made it, you've put it out there. Everybody knows. They also know. So you can't trace them anymore. And it's not a new thing. I just recall that some years back, a friend of mine who is an e-hailing driver ran into an Okada man. There was an accident, and the Okada rider sustained injuries. Now, he was asked to take the Okada rider to the hospital, but Okada riders, all of them from the north, refused. They made him take the guy to an uncompleted building in Victoria Island. Sorry, no, the building is completed, but uninhabited building in Victoria Island, where they put this guy, on the floor, they put cartons, and he could see stains of blood on the carton where they put this guy, and they called a doctor that came and treated the injury of this individual. And he asked, why not just take him to the hospital? And they said, no, we don't go to the hospital. And it made me wonder if they have places where they could get treatment, even in places like Lagos. That means they know that if they go to the hospital for whatever reason, it's not just about affordability now. It's about the fact that they're trying to hide their wounded friends. And that should raise questions. And most of this in Lagos happening in uninhabited buildings where you have some of these people work as security men. So the police, the military should go into action and do the needful. I'm tired of talking about this, really.
It shouldn't be. Nigeria is our country, so we'll keep on talking about it until we end the issue of insecurity. Now, the part that caught my attention was the fact that, the police were asking for a closed-door meeting for them to be able to account for 3,000 and, some fractions, 3,907 assault rifle, and I was like, what is really happening? You know, there's another discrepancy between the reports from Abuja and then one of those stations where they say no arm was lost or no ammunition have ever been stolen in this particular place. But later they found out that I think over 20 or thereabouts cannot be accounted for. The police or the military personnel, our security operatives should please make Nigerians regain their trust in them by doing the needful. There's need for transparency in everything we do. It's taxpayers' money we're using to purchase all this. So you can't tell us to have this discussion in a closed door meeting when you know you can actually do your due diligence. Get every needed information we need, get the data correct, and defend yourself. I don't know why we're having these issues with Nigerian police, for crying out loud. I don't know.
Nigerian police, crying out loud indeed. Let me start from the first one, the issue of the doctor who treated or who is treating bandits and terrorists and all of that. I think he's a good medical doctor, if you ask me, because on graduation, he took the Hippocratic Oath. And the oath says that, look, you shouldn't let a patient die under any circumstance. So his first duty as a medical doctor is to save life. Now, the second part of it is that after saving the life, what happens? Moses, I like the fact that you brought in the communication part of it. Anytime I talk about communications, it looks as if you are trying to be the be-all, know-all about corporate communications. A lot of people who occupy sensitive positions in the communication departments of government agencies, sorry to say this, don't know what public communication is all about. They just put out things. They don't even know the intelligence implications, the security implications of what they say and what they don't say, what to put out and what not to put out. Now that we have given all this information, what happened? Is the doctor himself, will you now say because he's treating terrorists, wounded terrorists, does that make him a terrorist? These are legal and intelligence questions that must be answered indoors and not by the public. The intelligence community should tell us, look, we shouldn't even know. What we should know is that these people have been taken out. Head or tail, by fair or foul means, take them out because they have become a clear and present danger to society. And we don't want that. Now, talking about the police and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Ebotokun, unable to account for the missing arms. I dug a bit into that and I discovered that those arms actually started missing way back in 2018. 2018-19. All right. And but he wasn't the IGP then. So
but he was a high-ranking officer.
But he wasn't the IGP. We had Usman Akali Baba as IGP. He's still alive or is he dead? So we should also invite him to come and answer questions on those missing arms. We don't want to hear that bandits and terrorists are using our arms.
Well, the police have also come out to debunk the story that it's a false accusation because it didn't start at his own time and the arms were not missing. They were just unaccounted for. I said it before, English. Anyway, let's move on to other issues now. Unfortunately, there's another story that we can't take at the moment. We'll take it much later, maybe during newspaper review. But anyway, let's take a little breather. When we come back, we'll be looking at the papers, headlines from the papers. Join us again.
Welcome back. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People Television. It's time for us to look at the cover page of the national dailies today. And we have a whole lot of the national dailies on our decks. Today we have the Guardian newspaper, the Nigerian News Direct, the Daily Trust newspaper, the Punch newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, the Sun, and the Vanguard. But I would like to kick off with the Guardian newspaper this morning. The banner headline reads, "Importers divert cargo to Togo, orders to evade tariff hike." And then there's a breakdown of those levies and how much is being cost. Now, we have various charges levied on importers, and NAFDAC certification, 500,000 naira, SON, that's a Standard Organization of Nigeria certification, 500,000 naira, and we have other, little letter breakdown. 20-foot container clearance, 20 million naira, 40-foot container clearance, 26 million naira, and a whole lot other information. The story proper is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And the window headlines on the Guardian newspaper this or today are: businesses, homes, count losses as national grid collapses again. Revert to old tariff before March or face total strike. NLC tells government telecom operators. Edo election tribunal, PDP alleges conflicting testimonies. APC to present 28 witnesses. All right, and other stories you'll find when you flip through the pages of Guardian newspaper today are: group laments over 5,000 Nigerians stranded in Iraq. 124 journalists killed in 2024, Israel mostly responsible, says CPJ. Tinubu meets Google, wants Nigeria to drive Africa's AI evolution. Kanu uncovers multiple illegal private financial accounts. Tax reform bills advance amid pushback on phasing out key agencies. And those are the stories that made it to the cover page of the Guardian newspaper today.
All right, let's look at the News Direct newspaper. The banner headline there says, NLC declares telecom boycott over 50% tariff hike, urges workers to disconnect daily. And then Nigeria's deep water production can meet targets with investment-friendly policies. NEPCO MD. Leadership tussle. PDP NWC backs BOT. Governors affirms Ude Okoye as National Secretary. Residents block highway. Protest renewed bandit attacks in southern Kaduna. Reps pass tax reform bills for second reading. And then we have Tony Lumelu Foundation, UAE's Khalifa bin Zayed Foundation signed $6 million partnership to empower 1,000 entrepreneurs. And then some of the headline here, is this the president wearing a t-shirt? Interesting picture, I must say. Well, these are the headlines here from the Nigerian News Direct paper.
All right, now let's move over to Daily Trust newspaper with the banner window headlines. Bandits abduct 16, burn houses, crops in Kaduna community. 49 years on, Murtala's legacy is still visible. Egypt's president may shun talks with Trump over Gaza. Now the big story. Tax reform bills, reps want contentious sections expunged. Seek clarity on conflict with constitutional provisions. Oppose inheritance tax, propose VAT reduction. And there's another bold headline there, 50% tariff hike. Labour threatens telecoms mass shutdown. And Lassa fever kills 12 in Ondo. Court adjourns Professor Yusuf's bail ruling to February 27. And 124 journalists killed in 2024. That's according to the CPJ. And that's all from the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right then, and that's all we can take for the moment. Join us again, 9 o'clock. We'll go deeper into these headlines and trying to make sense of it with you, of course. Well, come along with us as we talk about news coming from the southeast. Ipob accuses Anambra security outfit of extrajudicial killings, demands apology, compensation from the governor of Anambra State, Governor Chukwuma Soludo. Let's talk about this when we come back.
you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. People's Voice, Mondays through Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health, without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Tuesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority. From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents,
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Now let's get into the meat of the program. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, have accused the Anambra State security outfit, Agune Chamber, of extrajudicial killings of innocent youths, particularly in Owerri Ezokala, Orumba, LGA. IPOB's spokesperson, Ima Powerful, alleged that Governor Chukwuma Soludo created Agune Chamber for political purposes ahead of the November 2025 election and warned against targeting IPOB members. The group condemned the killing of 3 construction workers, labeling them as unknown gunmen, and called for justice, compensation, and an apology from the governor. IPOB emphasized its support for legitimate crime-fighting efforts, but criticized Agune Chamber's alleged indiscriminate killings, while tensions are rising between Anambra and Imo states following the death, with the victims identified as Malachi Chimobi, Iwanyanwo, Odinkalo Chinonso, and Kosi Sochukwu. Well, we have with us in the studio to make sense of it all, we have Dele Fanimo, who is a seasoned journalist and a political and public affairs commentator. Good to have you join us this morning.
The reporter, thank you very much, and good morning.
Okay, that's specification there. All right, thanks for reminding me. We also have Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, Managing Partner, KJB Professional Services. Good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And virtually, we have Honorable Isiaka Badamosi, who is a public affairs commentator and an SDG advocate. Well, he will join us in the course of the program. But in the meantime, let me get to Dr. Ganiu now. Now, there is a message I would like us to take in the course of the program. This one, there are videos of people complaining. Those that were killed, we saw videos of relatives complaining. There was also a post. Let's have that post up on our screen right now. This one was put up by a social media user, a Facebook user, where one individual was said to have been arrested earlier, tortured, and in the pictures taken, you will find pictures of where he was tortured. And we hear that some people were executed according to this Facebook user. That some individuals were executed, but fortunately for this particular individual, he was released after investigation revealed that he was not part of the gunmen. Yes, that one there. Now, if you read what's up on the screen, it says there's excitement in Ubunka, Anambra State, as a man who was once paraded by Agune Chamber as one of the unknown gunmen has been freed after his community stepped in to help. He was arrested while working along with others, and some of them were sadly executed without investigation. Now, thanks to the efforts of his people, he is back home, and the entire town is celebrating his release. Now, the first picture over there is where he was arrested and put on display with his face covered and the faces of others covered. The other pictures where he was released, you can see his eyes bloodied, of course. Now, would you call it overzealousness on the part of the Agune Chamber team? Or would you call this pushback from the people as, trying to scuttle the activities of those that have been set up by the governor to bring sanity to the area? How would you place this that we're seeing right now?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. It's either here or there, right? When you look at it, we have two people talking now, Ipob and the Agune Chamber, right? And so you see, number one thing is that here we see them just like we have in the Southwest, that we have these, that is in Ondo, Ogun State, that are helping the police to be able to help to curb the incident of this terrorists here. So when you look at the Agune Chamber, the question is that, number one thing is that before they even deploy them, were they properly trained? Do they have what it takes to be able to function in their capacity? You see, when we talk about properly trained, you don't take laws into your hands. You investigate before deploying the necessary actions to be taken, right? And the question also is that, are they actually also working intended with the government for the safety of the people?
Well, the government, basically instructed them to do what they're doing.
Yeah, there's one thing for you to be instructed to do what you're supposed to do. There's another thing for you not to cross the border, not to cross the line, right? So in part of the things we're doing, those people that we are captured, do you know that these are part of the thing that leads to, and there's what is happening in Benin now, in the new government that come on board and saying that all the paramilitary that the former governor was using, that they will be seen that they are on feet and they're going to throw them out and they're going to create and also establish their own. So once those people go out, then it shows that we are creating a monster that we cannot curb. And this is one of the fear of the IGP, of the IG at the beginning, that in the long run, these people, if they are not within our jurisdiction, they will be armed to the extent that once they are out of the government or government people, they will not be able to, they might create, they might be able to, they might attack people indirectly. But now with the Ipob on board and saying that these guys are working against the people, then they need to also show that they need to show evidence. They need to show evidence that actually these people are working against.
That's part of the evidence.
So no, the evidence might not be fully justified, because if the guy also says that, because they need to also investigate the issue, right?
For him to have been released after his people stepped in, doesn't that give you the impression that the investigation revealed that he wasn't part of what he was accused of initially?
Yeah, the investigation, they also need to come, the argument chamber guys needs to come and tell their own part of the story. Because this is the part of the story of the Ipob we are listening to. Okay. And do not forget that from the beginning, the governor of the state, it's not in line with the Ipob guys, saying that they've created so much havoc in the state. So in essence, what gives them even the authority and the confidence to come out and says that these guys are actually working against the people, knowing fully well that they've also created a lot of pain. They've inflicted a lot of pain on the people. Is it not the Ipob member that came up and said that nobody must work on Mondays, right? Are they not this Ipob member that made the state ungovernable for the people to stay? So what an effrontery, what courage do they have to come and say this kind of thing, that, oh, these guys are not working in line with the people? It's just like the kettle calling. Yeah, so we need to also look at it. Are they saying, and we also need to look at it from the other end. Maybe the Agune Chamber team are already curbing them, already taming them, and they are discovering that they are already whittling their power. So they need to come out, use the media space to speak out, so that the Agune Chamber guys is going to whittle is going to reduce their strength on them, so that they could be able to stay carry out what they do.
This might be a propaganda.
It could be a propaganda, and also it could be a mischievous way to be able to disarm this guy, so that they could be able to go ahead to continue their mayhem.
All right then, let's get our virtual guest, Honorable Isiaka Badamosi, into the conversation. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Moses. Good morning to the guest in the studio.
Now, because you're here today, and I know you may not be here tomorrow, let me wish you happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to you also.
All right then. So now let's talk about the issue on the table now. Agune Chamber being accused of extrajudicial killings, and then the people crying out saying that, look, these guys are attacking us, and we know that the governor, in his wisdom, set them up to restore security, to fight insecurity and restore peace in the area. And we're having pushback now from the people. What would you say would have been the modalities that should have been put in place before the establishment of this organization to ensure that we don't hear what we're hearing now? And how would you rate this scenario that has been played out so far?
Thank you very much, Moses. The first thing I would say is who are the people that are protesting against the activities of Agune Chamber? That's my first question. Is it the people of the state or Ipob? If it's Ipob is a terrorist organization as declared by the Nigerian state. So they do not have a basis for which to come out and say they are doing X, Y, Z. So, this group we are talking about was set up by the state governor after there has been a series of unleashing of mayhem in the state. We've seen the brutal killing of a member of the state assembly. We've seen the brutal killing of a number of people within the society, and things were getting seriously out of hand, and the governor needed to act. So my question really is, who are those that are raising eyebrow, or who are those that are complaining? Because in all of the clips I've seen, about this outfit going out, I have seen either commissioner, state house of assembly, speaker leading the charge in the demolition of structures that they have identified as hideouts or where people are being, where illegal activities are taking place, which tells me that these people have the full complement of the support of the state government at all levels, executive, the legislature, and even maybe judiciary. So I am actually wondering who that are complaining. If it is the criminals that are perpetrating criminal activity, I think they should go ahead and continue to complain, and I think the governor should do what is appropriate. But if we have legitimate concerns, I think the governor is a very listening person, and he would address those concerns appropriately if they are actually genuine.
Mr. Baramose, let me stay with you. I would like for us to know the limits that the Agone Chamber people or any security outfit or any vigilante should actually have. Is it proper that a security outfit will go ahead to kill people? If they arrest people, shouldn't they take them to the police? Do they have the power to do that? I mean, the word is extrajudicial now, which clearly shows that, look, they took laws into their hands. Are they empowered by law to take lives, even if the person is a criminal, a non-criminal?
Oh, well, as far as I understand the law of Nigeria, there's nobody that is given such power to do extrajudicial killing. No, nobody, no outfit. But you see, you might ask the question also, under what circumstances do they find themselves? Were they threatened? Was there a shootout? Was there a combat situation? If there was anything of such, I mean, they have a right to defend themselves, or else they will be killed. But besides that, I also want to believe that there must be a modus operandi for this outfit in terms of how they engage. And I'm sure also that this outfit must have the involvement of the Commissioner of Police in the state in the way they operate and how they carry out their activity. So if we have any issue of extrajudicial killing that is established, I think such people should be brought to the book, should be prosecuted and brought to the book and made to face the music of whatever it is they have done. Because I'm sure that the state governor or the government wouldn't have asked them to go into extrajudicial killings.
Is that these people were captured, interrogated, and executed. There were 4 of them. At the end of the day, one of them was spared. His life was spared, apparently because they had also court-martialed them instantly and discovered that probably he wasn't part of the gang or whatever, you know. Now, my second question would be...
But one other thing I want to add is this. You see, these are some of the problems we have with some of these groups that are being created all over the place. The problem is that they take a lot of powers or law into their hands. As at today, as at this morning, today, in this country today, there is no agency of government that has the right of investigation or prosecution than the Nigerian police. So if you arrest anybody for any crime, you still have to transfer such a person to the Nigerian police. Well, you might talk about maybe demolition of building and all of that as deterrence and all of that. But when it comes to human life, nobody has the right to say, we are investigating you, we want to find out what you have done or how you have done it. The police are the ones that are saddled with that duty as of today, until maybe when we have maybe what you call a state police.
Okay.
So if that has happened, then that is extra, that is going beyond the bounds, that is going out of line, that is going beyond their limits.
Okay, I like the fact that you talked about how these vigilantes, you know, are going beyond their brief and how you related it to the state police. Should this make us wary about our pursuit of state police? I mean, if the state police are solely under the control of governors, sorry, and we are getting this kind of reaction, you know, between the people and the vigilantes. Let's now transform the vigilantes into state police that are clearly under the control of the governor. Should it make us wary about our pursuit to have state police?
Well, by virtue of, I am an advocate of state police. Let me be very clear about that.
Okay.
I've been issue. I'm an advocate of state police because I believe that the federal government, the federal police is overwhelmed. But seeing some of the unfolding incidents that we have seen over time, what we have seen in Kano, in Borno, southwest here, the Amotekun and all of that. There is this tendency, and even in Edo, as mentioned earlier, there is this tendency for the governors in the state to abuse this agency.
Even
now, we need to.
Even in Imo State, they will bargain in Imo State.
Okay, you see, for me, there is this tendency for them to abuse, and we need to be creative in looking at how do we have a state police that will not have the influence of the governor, overbearing influence of the governors. Because in the very instance you are having that, take for example what is said to be happening in Edo State, where you have a governor coming in and said he wants to disband whatever was on the ground before, and we have to recruit fresh ones. Now you have trained and put arms in the hands of some people, and you want to take away the power from them. They will fight back. If they don't fight the government, they will fight the people of the state, and they become a nuisance within the state environment. So that, to me, is a kind of a setback. But I still push for the state police, because if properly managed, if we have a situation on ground where they are properly managed and well organized and run, they will serve the purpose of security. And security is one of the most important elements of state crafting. So there is no way we can wish away the fact that the state police thing is necessary for us. But the problem is that if we have a situation where governors can continue to manipulate them and use them for their personal gains, then it's going to be most unfortunate, because these governors will go and another person will come in, and once another person comes in, the game changes, and we keep having that continuously, and that is not good for our politics.
If you ask me, Mr. Isiaka Bedemosi, I will also make us understand also that even the Nigerian police force that we have now are not solely independent. We also understand that personal interest also plays out with them, and them carrying out their own duties. And now, Mr. Delifanimo, what do you have to say about this particular? Or you're giggling from the other side. What do you have to say about this accusation?
I was going to say to what you have just said. The Nigerian police is for me well above board in that area. Well above board. I don't insist that there are not one or two issues around Nigerian police with regards to influence and being used, but I think they are well above board in that area.
All right, Mr. Fanimo, what do you have to say about this particular accusation by IPOB, spokesperson Mapowerful, accusing Agune Chamber of extrajudicial killing? Are we seeing what plays out somewhere in Ibadan, repeating itself again, where the police come to arrest a notorious criminal, and the people couldn't even let them, have first-hand information about where this man is because of the benefit that they are getting from the criminal elements?
You see, it's a dicey situation, and whatever opinion I'm going to air is based on available information. But with the benefit of my exposure to how security agents operate, it will be difficult for us to situate it properly, because we are only relying on the statement pushed out by Ipob. We have not heard from the authorities. We have not heard from the commandant of the Agune Chamber. And so it's still one-sided. But that is not to say that I, for one, I don't encourage extrajudicial killing. If there was one, it's most unfortunate. Because sometimes you ride on emotion, you ride on sentiment, and you ride on lies to arrive at a conclusion before you begin to consider somebody as fit for killing, even when he has not exhausted all the processes of the law. For me, I don't like that, and I'm not going to subscribe to it, because I've seen cases of people that are innocent being killed. We have even the best of jurisdiction, like the America. People had been sentenced to life imprisonment, spent 36 years in prison, only to find out that he never committed that crime. To that extent, it would have been appropriate if Agune Chamber had used maximum force in the course of operation, not when you have arrested That means freely the suspects gave themselves up for arrest. And from the photograph we have seen, already you have arrested them. You have incapacitated them by cuffing them either in the hands or the legs. And so, I want to also correct one thing. At the level of Agone Chamber, they have the right to obtain first information reports, to profile them. It is at that point when you properly profile them and say, this one was just unfortunate to have found himself at the scene of the crime. And it's not as if you are going to release immediately, and these ones are culpable based on their statements, based on whatever you found on them. And then it is that FIR that you submit to the police for further investigation and prosecution if they are liable.
All right. Let me stay with you. There was another incident in Anambra State where a certain group of levy collectors had problems with lorry drivers, these sand drivers, people who buy and sell sand and all of that. Now, the information we have is that the levy collectors were in a bus and they had problems with the lorry drivers. Is it lorry or what again? These tipper drivers, they had problems with the tipper drivers. And somehow they managed to, those levy collectors were in a bus. Now the tipper drivers from both ends, marooned them. And about 7 or 8 of them died. If you put that into consideration, and what Agone Chamber has done, what Ipob is doing in Imo State, what Hisba is doing in parts of the north, do you think that if we have state police at this level of our development, consider our morality, our history, do you think that state police will be used to settle scores?
The federal police are still being used to settle scores.
Openly?
Then that is not
recall that
the
police will be localized.
Now, what
I mean is when it gets localized, will it get to that level?
You see, you cannot divorce personality from the uniform.
Okay.
You have seen very professional policemen in the course of interacting with some of these people. And we have seen some people that are not even fit to come near that uniform, but they're still in the police. I recall that there was a time I asked one high-ranking police officer that this man, from what he has done, is enough to dismiss him. He said, it is better not to populate criminals by dismissing somebody who has been trained with state resources, that we should find a way of rehabilitating him and making him conform to rules, rather than throw him to the world and then he becomes a menace. What you are trying to say is that to what extent can governors manipulate and induce state police operatives to doing certain things that
even the locals. What I mean by locals is when we localize police.
I understand. Okay. You see, let me tell you, the solution to that has to start with the manner of recruitment.
Okay.
You understand?
Why I wanted to ask another question, but I think let me take it to Mr. Andrew Ajayi, who is already seated in our Port Harcourt studios to help us out with this. Mr. Delifanimo also made mention of a manner of recruitment. How are these people being recruited? What are the orientations that are being given? Now, my question is, why are we having issues with any state, security or operatives that's been fixed or put in place by governors? For example, in Ebonyi State, when the Ebube Agbo outfit was being fixed or put in place, the people also talked about how they were using little force on innocent persons. In Imo State, the Agbo outfit was also accused of, extrajudicial killings. You bring it back again to Anambra now. Agone Chamber, Ipob are beginning to talk about how they are killing people who are innocent in the state. What is really happening? And if all these things keep on happening in the Southeast, how are they going to mitigate or curb the issue of insecurity bedeviling that region? Remember that Anambra State lost, I think, one of their state house of assembly members to the hands of these unscrupulous elements.
Thank you very much. It's nice to join this conversation. And I quickly say that in the question you have asked me, I want to say that there is so much hanky-pankyous, clandestine, unseen hands that is going on in all of this whole thing. And the earlier, the better we told ourselves the truth and begin to do the needful, then would we begin to get it right as a people. If not, why should we have the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, and what have you, and then we would now still be talking about, pockets of political foot soldiers that are now masquerading themselves in the name of providing security in a state. We even have some in the Niger Delta region here. I've been searching for the names of the ones that are in rivers, but I can't lay my hand because of the ignominious activities that they have involved themselves over the years. I think the fundamental thing that we should, for the sake of the Nigerian humanity, because in the whole of this whole thing, innocent Nigerians are losing their lives to the activities of this type of, arrangement that we are still grappling with now. And who brings back those lives? Like you rightly mentioned now, that an honorable member lost his life in the whole thing. And many other persons that have lost their lives. Who brings them back? So I think it is high time we started to caution the activities of politicians. Because for me, it is needless actually using governmental powers, like the state executive governor's power, to establish such, so-called insecurity things, whereas the secret thing that they are doing is to use these people to win a particular election or to all over the local government, and when they want to come for second tenure, these same persons are rolled out, okay, to ensure that they grab state power to do whatever they like for their families and friends. I decided to bring, our attention to this aspect of this whole thing so that we will begin to get it right. I think the political class must come to look, if you want security in your state, security in Nigeria, why don't you work with the Nigerian police? Or we go to the constitutional level of the country, say, okay, let us now have state police. We will also have county or local government police security arrangement the way that it is obtainable in the foreign land. Okay, because if you go to US, if you go to Britain, we have local county policing where you don't have any for such as a bubagu or call them by whatever name, either ECN or Ipob and what have you. My people, let me also tell you what I am thinking. Let me tell you what I'm thinking for the purpose of security in Nigeria. Now, when you look at what is going on in the north, you will see the bandits. You will see what have you killing people. When you also look at the activities of Ipob and ECN, who are the dying? Other Nigerians of the southeastern extraction or other Nigerian that is caught in the trap of this whole activity. Can I use this opportunity to say, for God's sake, what is happening between ECN, Ipob, and Ebubagu? Can we critically put our philosophical eyes on the ground to look at that thing? Because it may appear that whatever the governor of Anambra State is doing today may be looking as if it is getting to a particular solution at a particular time. Because if you look at the Nigerian nation, the way we are vis-a-vis insecurity, as soon as we are grappling with this one, trying to look as if we are succeeding, or maybe we succeeded, no sooner you say Andrew Ajayi or Jack Robinson or even Voice of the People's TV, another one has started. What is happening? It is either they are planning to grab political power, kill innocent Nigerians, kidnap people for ransom, and the whole place is thrown into great insecurities. So I want to use this opportunity to please call on Mr. President of the country to say, if we want to go for state police, can we go to state police quickly quickly to the greatest happiness of the greatest number of Nigerians, so that all these unnecessary groups to the detriment of the ordinary Nigerians, which include you and I, they have access to guns. They have access to all manner of ammunition.
Oh yes,
Where did
we
those
do.
ammunition come from?
Well, thank you very much for your
Where
thoughts
do those-
there. Yes, Nigerians, we also, putting a call through to the president, and we're hopeful that more will be done in terms of curbing some of these excesses of security, state security architecture, and non-state actors and the rest. It's a lot to deal with, really. But let's bring it back to the studio now. There are other videos I would like us to watch for the benefit of our viewers. Okay, go right ahead.
Watch this video. You see, we are not getting it right. If this man is saying that we shouldn't have police, state police now, it is even.
Well, that's his.
No, I'm just
think
he's saying we should get it
that
in the
what we should do about the CN, Agune Chamber, and the other rest, the Southeast, I think they need to find out, the people of those states need to find out the core mandate of these security outfits, as enshrined in that bill that was passed by the State Assembly. For instance, in the Southwest, Amotekun's role is in the forest to make sure that terrorists don't infiltrate the mainland, and that wherever they find anybody with guns and he calls himself a herder, he will be arrested. And you hardly see them in the cities. The job of the police is to maintain law and order.
So they work together with.
And they work
the
together,
police,
and if they arrest anybody, immediately they profile that person and hand over to the police, who is saddled with the responsibility of investigating. So these Agune Chamber people are not supposed to even interrogate to that extent.
Apparently. Their mandate seems to be basically just deal with arrest, kill, demolish.
I don't think
structures, because
they don't
that's
even have any right. So demolish.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they will do that.
Talk about demolition. they also have to get approval from the governor before they demolish.
Well, we've seen this.
They're also not mandated to kill. I'm not sure.
They can't mandate them to kill.
But now they're being accused of killing. Now they're being accused of killing.
That's why we are holding this conversation.
Yes. Well,
anyway,
understand why. Let's. Well, now talking about arresting people and branding them, giving them names as unknown gunmen, even when they are saying guns were not even found on them. The picture we saw earlier, there's a video to it. I'd like us to watch that one. And also, I'll be coming to you, Dr. Gani Oluwashola. You know, if you talk about the police now, we've seen the police arrest people for loitering and, you know, putting them in detention and asking them to come bail themselves. We've seen police arrest people for basically not doing anything, or for just being in the wrong place. Sorry, for being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or in the wrong place at the wrong time. Arresting people indiscriminately. What's the difference really between the organized Nigerian police force and this Agune Chamber carrying out Udogachi, right? You know, what's the difference?
What does that mean?
Peace must reign.
now, talking about the meaning of that, there is also a cry from residents of Imo State saying that, look, they might have to start fighting back because residents of Imo State, indigents of Imo State, I beg your pardon, are being killed. Some of the young men that were killed in that report were indigents of Imo State. So I just saw a report now that they are saying that, look, they might also start fighting back, fighting Agune Chamber. So we seem to have a bigger problem brewing in our hands now.
So the question you see, in 2017, when the Ipob guys were tagged to be terrorists, right? And they said that because of the unrest they caused and the unnecessary killings they've done. So the question is that, who are the people accusing, right? If a thief is accusing the police of excessiveness and they are accusing the police of too much killing or arrest, then you know that it's for their self-interest, right? So who are the people that are accusing Agone Chamber guys? Is it the citizen? Is it the indigent? Right? How many indigenous are we hearing their voice? I think the Ipob have actually created a lot of mayhem and a lot of issues around that place. So when the Ipob guys are now saying that Agone Chamber guys are involved in extrajudicial killing, then the question is that which authority are they speaking from? Are they killing their members? Are they arresting their members? Or they are stepping on their toe and they discover that they are already overwhelming them, so they need to cry out.
Now, shouldn't we hear from Agone Chamber themselves?
So we should hear from Agone Chamber. So the people that we should censors their words are the citizens, the indigent of the state, right? Because if they are the ones that are feeling the heat, they would have cried out. They would have put placard, right?
In what you said now, Dr. Ganiyo, there's a word from Ipob that says, IPOB wishes to inform Governor Soludo that if his Agone Chamber militia group target is against genuine IPOB members, he will have a serious battle to face because IPOB members are not criminal and neither are they violent against anyone. So he's kind of speaking for...
So you can see now that their words are, you can see the nexus between their complaint and what is happening. It's just like we have Amoteco in the Southwest, right? And when you look at state police, indirectly we already have state police. Because most of these state police, they're also acting in consonant with anything the governor or the rep is telling them to do. Look at what happened to Dele Farotimi, right? When Chief Afepoliala said the same, not state security people, not Amoteco, they sent them from Ekiti to come and pick him up in Lagos. So
they do the bidding of
so do the bidding of an individual, not an IG. Right? So you can see that indirectly, and this Ipob or this Agone Chamber guys, Amoteco, their activity is more or less like mirroring what is happening in the police. Right? Because they see them as a real mentor. So when you say that there's no gap between them.
So Dr. Ganiyo, let me stay with you. You said something like that the IPOB has caused so much mayhem. You know, I think that's a lot of people will also think, like you think, that it is as a result of the wrong profiling of IPOB. IPOB from the beginning was essentially peaceful and non-violent until a third force, which IPOB also believes was sponsored by the government to discredit them, you know, to cause problem in the Southeast. Imapawafo has been very vocal. IPOB has been very outspoken to say, look, part of the problems in the Southeast isn't caused by IPOB. These unknown gunmen are not members of the IPOB. They could have, like I said, a third force, you know, just to discredit IPOB and profile them wrongly. Now, when I move away from that, let's be very modest and truthful to ourselves. We are all Nigerians, but first of all, we are from where we are before we become Nigerians. You are from the Southwest. Now, I want you to use the prism of an outsider. You know, I don't know how much of the Southeast do you understand, but I do know that you know a lot. So, from the prism of an outsider, if you look at what is going on in the Southwest, Amoteco is functioning almost seamlessly with the police and OPC. We have never heard that there is a problem between Amoteco and OPC. If there is, I have not heard. Why is it that they are able to work in unison? But if you go to the Southeast, you have the IPOB, you have Ibubago, now you have Agone Chamber. And in less than 1 month of floating the security outfits in Anambra, we're already having problems with IPOB, with the Agone Chamber, with Ibubago. What do you think is responsible for that disharmony in the Southeast? What is lacking in the Southeast that makes the one of Southwest work? Let's just know so that we
that's a
compare notes.
question. When you look at it, what happened? When you look at IPOB members, there was a time that they took responsibility of some, maybe the people we attacked were killed, and they came out and said they take responsibility.
Faction headed by Simon Ekpa, who is cooling his heels
it's
now in detention.
It's still IPOB.
No, the main IPOB said no, we are not part of it. Even the Monday sit at home, Nnamdi Kanu came out and said, look, don't sit at home for me on a Monday. IPOB clearly dissociated itself from all those mayhem caused by the third force that I keep going back to.
But the guy in Finland is also saying that
IPOB disown him.
Yeah, so they disown him, but he said that you can't disown me, I'm still part of you. Until they bring him back the way they did for Kanu in 2019. Right?
They divorced him. If you divorce your wife, your wife go claiming I'm still your wife.
The divorcing could happen. It also could also be in principle. It could also be relative, right? Okay, let's take people in this jackpot syndrome because they want to have a stay in the US. They say, okay, we divorce ourselves just to get a paper. So we don't know the facts behind it, right? And do not forget that before Soludo come into office, the whole state has been in an governance situation, right? The whole place has become sit at home and every other. There was a time he called for meeting, and also no governor will want to make a state ungovernable. No governor wants to stay in a place and it does not have authority, just like what former Edo State governor said, I can't be a governor and not be a governor, right? So he wants to create a situation or an outfit so that there will be some level of decorum and peace in the state. So when you look at the Southwest, there have not been a mayhem. There have not been a particular group. Look at when Sunday Igboho wants to start, they quickly stop him, right? There have not been have you ever heard maybe in Ekiti, in Osun, or in Ondo saying that, oh, there are some set of people that are killing people, causing unrest, right? Because if it happened, it will now become we against we.
The Southwest governors are from different political parties. They are working together. The Southeast governors are from different political parties. They are not working together. Why?
No, it's not that they're not working together. They have the same thing that's common. They're fighting. You see, at times, if there's this law of power, they say the reason why two people are friendly is not because they like each other, but because they have common enemies to fight. So if they have common enemy, they will come together to achieve the goal, right?
Unfortunately, they have a common enemy, which is insecurity, but they are not working together.
So the common enemy also, do not forget that the common enemy, some of them are part of them that brought them to power, right? So it's just like what we are saying is that if like I also say there are two, one of the professor of politics says that you cop impunity at the beginning, because if you don't stop it at the beginning, when it gets wider, you might not be able to stop it. And because the reason why we are getting, you also agree with me, the reason why we have Boko Haram that is causing so much havoc, at the beginning, Boko Haram were peaceful, yes or no? They were peaceful, they were helping the governor to come into power, and because their talks are not going the way it should be. So it's the same way when you come to power, you disarm people and say that I'm no longer interested in you. And those guys already tested power. They've tested weapon. And they also know how it has to get money. So because of that, it will be very difficult for you to curb them. It's only when you now come indeed in unity to be able to stop their process. And that's why we are even saying that release Nnamdi Kanu. Let the guy, let him come out of the place first, so that it might not stop the whole thing. That we could see how far it could go.
Has Boko Haram always been peaceful? I think they started.
Yeah, at the beginning.
They started from preaching violent extremism.
No. They were peaceful at the beginning. Peaceful? Even you could get history. Borno State is one of the peaceful places in Nigeria. There, one of the peaceful states in Nigeria. There, but because like a saying that said, it is because of fight that songs become a proverb, right? So it's because things were not going well between their principal and them. That was when they went violent, because they've tested they've handled gun, weapon, they've tested power. So they now, and there's a saying also that said when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. So it's the citizen that is feeling the heat due to the no connection between the principal and those their subordinate.
Thank you very much. I'll consider this your concluding thoughts on this issue. Let's go back to this Isiaka Badamosi now, and yes, as you give us your concluding thoughts on this issue, let's bear in mind. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read out this message, but this is a message from an individual on X. He said, look, his message basically, let me try and summarize it, is that Imo State indigents, according to him, are not happy with Agune Chamber, and so they will start fighting back. Yes, I pointed to that earlier. And somebody also sent a message that Anambra indigents are happy with Agune Chamber. Are we going to see? Conflict break out between Southeast states in the coming days? Imo State and probably Anambra. Do you perceive that we might see that breakout? Let's have that with your concluding thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much, Moses. You see, the thing is this: I do not see any conflict coming in terms of Imo State and Anambra State. Whoever is doing that tweet, as far as I'm concerned, is maybe an active participant in the whole process, and maybe he has the short end of the stick as it is right now. So I do not see any. If there are issues as far as the new outfit is concerned, it's an outfit that was set up by the governor, and I think the governor's attention could be called to it, and he would address whatever the problem is. And I'm sure that he will not allow that the outfits become a rogue organization. Now, let me speak a little to something I had earlier. You see, most of these organizations we have, be it Ipob, the Boko Haram, these are organizations that came as a result of, they had political undertone right ab initio. Boko Haram was an organization that was used to win election. They had a faction and they had a leadership, and they were used to win election. And after the election, they were casted aside when they felt they were not useful anymore. And they now started becoming a threat to the society. The same thing you look at in the case of Ipob. Ipob was in the southeast promoting a self-determination agenda. It was political. So, and that in itself led to a lot of other things. And then before Ipob becoming, you now having the word, what they call the unknown government and all of that. And then Ipob declared a terrorist organization and all of that. You see, what I'm saying is that most of these organizations, in comparison with what you have in the Southwest, were politically motivated organizations that had agenda of their own on what we want to achieve. If you look at it compared to the Amotekun in the Southwest, Amotekun in the Southwest is an organization that was created deliberately for a purpose, and they are being put in line. They have the governor has a firm grip on all of them, and they work in synergy with the Nigerian police force. So that's where the two issues are really different. And I want to believe that maybe the governors of the Southeast can come together and work together. Because somebody, I think it was Chukwuma that mentioned the fact that the governors of the Southeast are not working together, and I quite agree with that. And that's most unfortunate. The Southeast is not such a large place in terms of land expansion, but if the governors can just work together and work in synergy, I think they will have a better and a peaceful environment, and the people will be the best for it.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Moses. Mr. Badamosi, for clarity, I'm sure there's a big difference. There's always been a difference between IPOB and unknown gunmen. These are two different people. IPOB has never claimed to be unknown gunmen. Unknown gunmen have always been unknown gunmen. And at no point did IPOB transist to unknown gunmen. It's always been a thought force, which IPOB believes has always been sponsored by certain people. Thank you.
I've had that severally too.
All right then. Well, let's go to Port Harcourt and get concluding thoughts from Andrew Ajayi.
Maybe in the future you'll give us more time to speak from Port Harcourt here too. I want to say, as I started telling you, the political undertone that has led to great insecurity in Nigeria. And if we pretend or wish them away, then we are doing ourselves a great disservice. Because if we are able to overcome IPOB, ECN, unknown government, might have seen it like the way it used to be in the early 80s, Boko Haram, ISWAP, which one is the next one to come? So I want to say that it is better we stood up as a people in a nation to say no to things like this. And if any of our young people, for God's sake, so desire to be part of the security architecture to protect lives and properties of Nigerians, crisscrossing the entire nation of the 6th geopolitical zone, then they should be recruited into the Nigerian police, Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy. Then give them patriotic responsibility where they will be committed and dedicated to the security of lives and property. Give a new orientation of character reformation to all these our young men and women so that they can join the security forces to now be ensuring that there is peace in the land. Because a situation whereby you have police and at the same time you are now having this and that, Agune Jemba, ICN or whatever, and even a Moteko, I don't think it is proper. I don't think it is right. So I want to call on Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to work with his, security chiefs to say, please, number one, do this for Nigerians. If you can release Nnamdi Kanu, please release him, give him new orientation, and let him be peaceful. Just a moment. If Nnamdi Kanu wants to enter politics, let him go. And another important point I want to raise using this platform is that for us to have good security in Nigeria, can all the 36 state governors in city Abuja, supported by the presidency, now begin to see how we can have,
all right, we're absolutely out of time for this conversation now. It's time for us to get into another conversation. I understand your passion, Andrew Ajayi. I appreciate you. And yes, we will give you more time to express yourself. And we'd like for you to stay on with us into newspaper review. There you have a lot more time to express yourself. Please do stay with us. Well, stay with us as we get further into the program. Now we get into the politics of things. North versus South. That's how my producer tags this one. APC chairman Ganduje tells northern politicians to drop presidential ambition. Gentlemen, let's go into this conversation right after this very short break. Join us again.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's go over to the second topic of conversation, where the APC National Chairman, Alhaji Ganduje, have urged northern politicians to abandon their 2027 presidential ambitions, asserting that President Bola Tinubu will serve 2 full terms. His statement appeared to counter former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai's suggestion that the North could unseat Tinubu as it did to Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. Speaking in Abuja, Ganduje emphasized APC's commitment to power rotation, stating that after Tinubu's tenure, power will return to the North. He acknowledged Nigerians' challenges but expressed confidence in Tinubu's policies, claiming that economic improvement were underway. All right, we have with us in the studio still, we have Dr. Oluwasegun Ganiyu. He's still here in the studio with us. And we still have beside him Mr. Dele Fanimo. And the main gentleman that we have that joined us virtually, Mr. Isaac Badamosi and Mr. Andrew Ajayi. Thank you so much for still being with us. Now, let me start off with you now, Mr. Andrew Ajayi. What do you have to say about the statement by the national chairman of All Progressives Congress, Ganduje, stating that this present administration under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will serve a second term? He also went for that to talk about his economic policies, saying that they are working and Nigerians, in short period of time, will start enjoying the fruit of our labors. What do you have to say about that?
Very much. As a politician myself, what Ganduje has said is normal because he's national chairman of a political party that is currently in power now, the APC. Him becoming the national chairman, is the instrument of someone, because I'm sure the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC as well, of course, had an interest to say Ganduje should be chairman. So if Ganduje said anything different from that, Ganduje will lose his seat. It's only natural. So what he's saying now is normal. After all, when Buhari came on board, let me start from Obasanjo. Obasanjo came on in 1999. He did 2 tenures. Okay, then somewhere along the line, as he was going as a Southern Nigerian president, he made sure Yaradua came. And unfortunately, Yaradua died. Jonathan came. Buhari came. Of course, Buhari was a Northern president extraction, and he did his 8 years. He left. Of course, now it is a Southern Nigerian presidency in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So if some Northerners are now saying that they will be president, okay, whereas the Southern person now just did only, is only trying to complete the first tenure of 4 years, and the Northern people are now angling or plotting and, permutating and, Nicodemously doing whatever they are doing. And Ganduje is now saying, hey, let us just wait till this man finishes before we dream. He is only saying the righteous things.
Now, Mr. Ajayi, can you in any way walk us through if we have any place where it's being written in Nigeria that this power we're talking about is being rotational? Is there anywhere where it's being written that after the South, the North, and after the South again, the North? What happened to other regions we have in Nigeria, if I'm to ask that question? And is it based on a Southern and Northern extraction that Nigerians should vote in the presidency? Are we not looking at the work? Are we not looking at, antecedent of what people have done to be what will make us to elect them in power if need be?
Sweet sister, I was even going to dovetail to that because I know some time ago it was the talk of the town, especially in 2005 when we had the Nikki Toby Constitutional Conference convened by, I think, either President Goodluck Jonathan or something, when we did this Sovereign National Conference within that period, and also when Jonathan also conveyed his national conference. All these things were the agenda that took place such that whether the PDP now said, look, let it now be the North and to me in terms of contestation for the national presidency. And I think that is what the APC too is now actually copying from. But I know that it is not written in the Constitution. It is not written there, but I think what is proper for a nation of this magnitude of society in terms of over 250 ethnic groups and over 374 languages of different people crisscrossing the wide length and breadth of the 923,000 square kilometer geographical expansion that Nigeria is. It is only natural that there is a systematic arrangement, okay, where for me, for instance, I would even say, let the presidency be a rotational activity between the 6 geopolitical zones, so that when the sons and daughters of this finishes, that is from the south, then another son and daughter from the north, but not from that initial zone where one person has contested before. Just like, for instance, now, if President Tinubu Obasanjo has done, okay, it was not even supposed to be the turn of another Yoruba person. It is actually supposed to be the turn of a Southern person when it comes to the South. So the way Buhari has done, when it is now going back to the North, it is not supposed to come from Buhari's area. It will now come from another turn, another east, either northeast or not, central.
Thank you, Mr. Ajayi, for your submission.
Thank you for that submission. Okay. House of Reps.
Thank you. Let's get other analysts to join the conversation. And now to you, Mr. Ishaku Badamosi. Mr. Erifai, or Nasir Erifai, said something. He said that the policies of this government, this present administration, is yielding to nothing. And we could also notice that some persons who happen to be part of APC are kind of disgruntled about how things are being done. And he is already threatening that if care is not taken, what happened to Goodluck Jonathan in 2015 might happen to the present president that we have. What do you have to say about this, given the fact that it's more like APC is not really together, as the case may be?
Okay, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai is entitled to his opinion. And I think what is unfolding before us are some of the things to be expected. Ganduje saying what he said is to be expected. Nasiru El-Rufai saying what he's saying also is to be expected. He's seriously agreed. He feels cheated and all of that. But you see, my point is, in Nasiru El-Rufai was in this country when we had a President Muhammadu Buhari, and a President Muhammadu Buhari cannot do any wrong. You see, so what is the problem that is now accentuating now that this government is doing? Because under President Muhammadu Buhari, we had several issues. Even though I will concede to the fact that he stood up to some policies of the government, like the Naira exchange and all of that, the currency coloring and all of that. But what I'm saying is that Nasiru El-Rufai at this time, I think it's too early in the day for him to try to rock the boat. If he wants to leave the APC, that would be more appropriate than for him to stay in there and be creating unnecessary tension in the system. But I haven't said that. Let's go back to the issue of whether there is any part of our constitution that say you must be 8 years or more, or 8 years or 4 years. There isn't any such things. But Ganduje should be made to understand that Nigerians are the ones that ultimately have the power to elect or remove anybody from office. If by 2027 Nigerians says we do not want a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president anymore, we want somebody else, so be it. So what he is saying for me is more like political jargons, just trying to accentuate his political party and position. And I think he has come to Oyo State to say they're going to capture Oyo and Osun State and all of that. So not out of place, but the issue of who becomes Nigerian's president is domiciled with the Nigerian people, and the Nigerian people ultimately will decide who they want.
Now, let me ask you this question, though it might sound a bit personal. You know, you were in Nigeria when we had the 2023 general elections. Were the opinions or mandates of Nigerians recognized during that particular election, given the outcome or the aftermath of the election, Mr. Isaka Badamosi? Also, juxtapose that with what happened in Edo State, where some people were asked if they want Edo State, and we know that history happens to be what follows after that particular election in Edo State. We're looking at mandate of the people now.
If I understand your question, what you're asking me is whether the elections of 2023 were reflect what we have as a result were a reflection of the elections that took place. If I do understand what you are saying, yeah. For me, for all of the things that has happened over time, and I was part of the election process. I voted. I was part of the campaign process. I was part of the post-election litigation. We followed everything all through. And for me, I think the election went to a great extent, maybe not perfect, but I think those who were elected to position are the ones in office right now. I'm not saying the process cannot be better. No. The process still has a lot of problems which we need to fix. But to the extent of whether the person that was voted for are those that are occupying office today, yes, I think they are. And I also think that people should learn to understand Nigerian psyche, the Nigerian politics. If you do not understand it, you will miss it, and you will start complaining and saying that you were shortchanged. And at the end of the day, you actually did not play the politics right.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaka, for your submission. Let's bring it back to the studio. Dr. Oluwasegun, what do you make of the statement and the back and forth, from Umaru Musaira, I beg your pardon, from Ganduje and Nasiru El-Rufai over who becomes the next president of Nigeria in 2027? Remember that our sitting president now have not declared interest. We had another news of him not being interested in that particular position for 2027.
Either he declare interest or not, he's interested. So when you see what Ganduje is saying, he's speaking for his principle. He's working for his position. He's also the head of the APC there, right? And what El-Rufai is saying is also speaking as someone that is hot. Remember, he went for the ministerial screening and it was bounced, right? Thereafter, there was in Kaduna for the first time, they said he stole so much money and he is is also speaking from a side as someone disappointed. You will remember and you will recall that during the time of Buhari tenure, when Buhari body language, now we are not talking about body language. During Buhari, there is a lot of body language. Body language speaks so much louder than the president's voice. And so when it seems as if he's not interested, he's not willing to release power to the incoming president, to Tinubu, then issuing the issue of Naira, right? The El-Rufai stood up and said, no, this thing. So showing that he is with this guy, he's with Tinubu. And there was a time he also came out truly said that if not with this guy, power would not have come to the north like that. So let us support him. So the question now is that what now happened? Like a film we watch when we are growing up that say things fall apart. So maybe things are actually falling apart. And so a whole lot of things is coming up. So at that point in time, talking about the power can be drifted from the north. In 2027, I think there's this mindset that once I'm in for 8 years, right? And it's also a bit difficult to overturn the government in power unless that government is selfless. And he was talking about Goodluck Jonathan. It's because Goodluck Jonathan says that his election result, the blood of average Nigeria does not worth it. If it's like his power tussle, it would have fought it, right? So, and when you also look at what parameters now, they said that most of the North, they seems to be able, they seems to look and see that the current government is not paying so much concern to them, is not giving them more powers. Look at the CBN part, it moved to Lagos. Look at what is happening in NNPC. Most of the power is being withdrawn from them. So they fell hot. So they now see that in 2027, we still need someone there that will still position. You remember, an average Northerner believes that, Northerners are born to rule. Exactly. Go and check it. If you have lived in the North before, they have this belief that we are not born to work, we are born to rule. Be it in governor, and we are going to be in governor.
Dr. Gani, let me stay with you. I want us to move a bit away from rotation and now talk about the politics of 2027 away from rotation. Now, let me paraphrase Ganduje. He acknowledged that the APC understands Nigeria's challenges, but expressed confidence in Tinubu's policies, claiming economic improvements were underway, just like in the pipeline, You know why they break pipelines?
I like the way you put your hand
on the way, like pipeline. You know why they break pipelines in the south, because everything, hospital is in the pipeline, school, university is in the pipeline, economic reform is in the pipeline. So the boys break the pipeline.
So you're even talking like a politician.
No, that's what they say. Now, do you think, as a Nigerian voter, do you think that this government has done enough to return your vote in 2027?
Yeah, in the meantime, what we are seeing is that Nigerians are feeling so much pain, right? So much pain that now we are still, NS is talking about the hike in tariff for the telecoms, right? The fuel price is dwindling between, I think it's only one of them, I don't want to mention, selling it at 925. Even the almighty NNPC is doing it for 960, and even a lot of people that are using them for franchise, they've reverted because, and you see a lot of, and you see our price control mechanism is not working now. It's just within some few months that our Naira is getting stable, right? Stable, right? So you see a lot of things is getting costlier day in, day out. So, and the set is in the public. And you know what it means is that towards the election, just watch out. The election is 2027. 2025, 2026, it will be as if they just open the door of freshness. The old things will just be working. We'll tell you the policy is working. So you just say that,
so if they have that magic wand to open it in 2026, end of 2025, beginning of 2026, up until the end to usher in the election, why can't they do it now? Must they wait?
And that is
it clearly shows that they know what they are doing.
That is politics, right? That is politics, because towards the election, they need to convince you that we are actually doing right.
Doctor, exactly my point. If they can open the dam, you know, for the goodies, good life to flow by that time, why can't they do it now?
So the thing is now that doing it also could ask a timeline.
Okay.
It's just like when the CBN then was trying to defend the Naira. Okay. So it can only defend the Naira to a certain level. Okay. So when it defends the Naira to a certain level, and since it does not have the economic power again to defend the Naira fall freely. Okay. So you must be able to strategically know your time limit, right? In which it's just like someone that came from abroad and actually came in with just a $5,000, right? And he knows that once he sprays beyond 5,000, the whole thing goes. So it will spray towards the end so that you know that, oh, this is...
All right. Doc, we are questioning home. We are running out of time. Fast forward to 2027. If things remain the way they are, do you think that Nigerians will return APC?
I will tell you things will not remain the way they are.
No, assuming, let's simulate. Assuming, it's an assumption.
If it remains the way they are, definitely they will lose the seat. So you know they are strategic. Give it to the person in power.
Okay.
Things will, if we ask them to also pull out all their personal resources to make things work, things will work.
All right. Then.
So you just believe that things will work in
it
2026?
will definitely work. If it does not work, then they will be exited. So because of that, because what are they? Remember when they even coming to power, when Fashola was the governor of Lagos, they were using his achievement to campaign. Campaign, right? So if they don't have anything on the table, remember, Kwakwaso, Peter Obi, they're forming alliance, right? So, and they know that it's only a thin line that make them to come into power because the Labour Party, then, which is driven by Peter Obi, gave them the battle of their life, right? So by that time, they will ensure that you have the value of, you even enjoy being a Nigerian.
Okay.
Then.
All right then. Well, let me go back to Isiaka Badamoti now. I would like for you to speak as a Nigerian. Don't speak like one from any part of the country. Just, speak more like an observer, all right? In response to my next question. Now, what do you think the role of ethnicity will play in 2027? Don't speak like a politician. Just speak like an observer in 2027. We saw what role it played in 2023, and we saw how things panned out. And now that with hunger, Nigerians complaining of hunger and lack and the promises of this administration, especially when it comes to minimum wage not being fulfilled, do you think the ethnic card pandered might might have an effect in 2027?
Moses, let me say that first and foremost, besides being a Nigerian, I am also a political player within the system. So, well, if you ask me to say what I have to say without just being any, I want to address without any bias. You see, Nigeria is a country where you cannot do anything at all without the ethnic card being played along. It happens in everything we do, be it in the private sector or the public sector, in our politics, in our election, and all of that. And anybody who is a politician or who is an administrator or who wants to go into politics must have this understanding, must be conscious of the fact that what are the dynamics in terms of ethnicity and how the various ethnic groups see themselves. You must be able to appreciate the perception of the different ethnic groups of each other. How do the Hausa man or the Fulani man sees a Yoruba man? How does the Yoruba man sees a Fulani man? And like that, all of that. So because all of this will make you understand how to interact with each and every of them. And for me, I think that is why I will give it to the current president of our nation, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He understands to a great extent that mix, and he's using it in a very, very good way. And that's why you have a Ganduje saying all that he's saying today, because they understand what is happening. Why would you think a President Tinubu will have a Ganduje as the national chairman of APC? He knows that the North is, especially Kanu, has a lot of vote. And Ganduje being in that position, would promote and continue to push. And besides, Ganduje has an opposition party as governor in his state. So all of these are the dynamics that plays. So if anybody thinks that as it is right now, there is hunger in the land, that is a fact. Nobody can dispute that fact. But at the end of the day, they will still play the card of ethnicity. They will still play the card of this man is from my area. No, it is our turn for us to be head of state, to be a president, and all of that. And that is a very potent weapon that every politician must understand how to use.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Well, let's come back to the studio now. Dele Fafanimo, what are your thoughts, really?
What?
What are your thoughts?
On Ganduje outburst and...
the elections coming up.
2027. Will it not be too premature to begin to hazard guess as to what will become of 2027 election? I've always said is that 24 hours is too long a day. What if these guys turn around?
It's not too early. It's not too early. Election is around the corner.
But talking seriously, for me, Ganduje is only protecting his meal ticket. He wouldn't have done otherwise, because doing otherwise would have precipitated his removal anytime.
One quick question for you before we leave, please. Everybody seems to agree that the president is very strategic when it comes to politics. Is he also strategic in policies?
In policies? Yes.
Okay.
To some extent.
To what extent? Quickly.
For instance, if you look at the state police, how he handled it.
Okay.
It just came to the news that the governors had accepted state police.
Okay.
It wasn't in the news until when that statement came. And also look at the uproar that greeted the tax reform bills. Everybody felt it was going to the dustbin. But as we speak, we all know that it's heading to a direction that is likely to see the light of day. So these are just two out of numerous examples to show you that the man is strategic.
All right then. Well, I guess this is where we'll drop anchor on the program today. We must say a very big thank you to you, Dele Fanimo, seasoned journalist, reporter. he prefers to be called a reporter. So big thanks to you. I know you will stay with us into newspaper review. Well, he's seasoned reporter and also VOP analyst. Well, thank you very much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
We appreciate you. We've also been speaking with Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, who is a managing partner, KJB Professional Services. We do appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And also, virtually, we had Honorable Isiaka Badamosi, retired civil servant, PR consultant, and public affairs commentator, SDG Goals advocate. Thank you very much for your time, always. Okay, and from our Port Harcourt station, we've had Ajayi Andrew, a public affairs commentator. Thank you also for your time. And Andrew, I would like for you to stay with us into newspaper review, if time will allow you. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. That's it on the show. Newspaper review comes up next, and that's at 9 o'clock. I am Moses Humphrey, asking that you join us again. See you then. Bye for now.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Happy World Radio Day to, our sister radio station, VOP Radio. And also to you, amiable person that love listening to radio. Enjoy the rest of your day. For you that love watching television too, our duty is to make sure we keep you informed. Bye for now.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. Thanks for coming to this show. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your day.